And to give you some background, 4 years ago was when I knew that I was in the wrong body and that I wasn't me. So in general, this is not a choice. Younger versions of me that knew that even subconsciously. I have told my family, well, some of them. They're not the most accepting, but some of them are okay with it. I was suicidal from the reaction of one and depressed as a whole. My friends accepted me more than my family did. 99% of them were happy for me. However, there were a few who had to adjust. Social stigma, sometimes. Mostly after sharing, as to the naked eye, I do not appear to be transgender. I received judgment by others when they realized who I was, or no, who I am. It's all about respect. No matter who you are, or who, not what you identify as. I cannot stress this enough as ask for my pronouns. Mine are he and him. I was afraid to correct people initially when I was first open about my gender. Respect that fear and ask. Always ask. The learning curve. Never, no matter what others say, change your appearance to make others happy. Identity is not about sacrificing yourself. It's about being your true self. And to those out there struggling, change if that's what you want. One supportive individual outweighs everyone critical in the world. If you are afraid to come out, become self-sufficient and then out with it. Later in life, you're not the same person. Do not give up on who you want to be. Those who project hate are not worth your time. Ignore them and move on. What I wish I knew. I wish I knew that I could wear male clothing. I wish I knew that it was okay to be confused. I wish I knew I wasn't alone. It's a waste of time to argue with those who do not tolerate, and ignorance is not okay. LGB used to be the standalone, then the T was added. If a person judges you from your pants, just realize that what's in your pants is your sex, not your gender. Gender is what's inside your mind. Gender is what's inside your mind. All right, I am Shauna O'Hara. I am a college counselor at the Overlay School in Redmond, Washington, and I identify as an Asian American male. I am the 4th generation in my family to live in America, and I would call myself Hawaiian, although I have no Hawaiian blood as I grew up there. I would call my identity both inherent and my choice. I briefly lived in Boston, and I had to choose whether or not to stay true to my Asian American roots and my culture, or to become normalized in the primarily white culture. And there weren't many like me there. I was very alone as a primarily white area. Many assumptions, I think, in society today are made just regarding gender and are thrown out there without any prior knowledge. In the past few months, the vast majority of those types of comments have been coming from our current president, which is quite tragic in my opinion. It's absolutely just sickening to me what people can say and the ignorance that's displayed in our society, especially on social media. I think a takeaway that everyone can gain from our society today and how we act is, what do you learn to be your true, authentic self? As there is no one in the world like yourself. Each individual is made uniquely and perfectly, just the way they are, and that includes the transgender community, not just me when I'm college counseling. In general, equal opportunity is also something that strikes me as a huge issue within society today, especially regarding various genders and identities. There is inequity everywhere. Unfortunately, there is inequity everywhere, including at the Overlay School.
I am Barnes Gospel, a heterosexual male. Personally, I believe that my orientation is inherent because I have never felt any other inclination and my sexual preference is strong. I do feel there is a modest social stigma toward my orientation from those of other orientations. I believe there are prejudgments surrounding the outlooks, tendencies, and attitudes of heterosexual males. I view the non-binary community respectfully and without judgment. Every person is unique and their gender identity and sexual preference is part of that. I am continually intrigued by the differences in people. However, I do feel that non-binaries tend to be appreciably more vocal about their orientations, and in the majority harbor a bitterness, mistrust, disrespect, and prejudgment towards the binary community's beliefs and behaviors. I encounter a few non-binaries in the course of my day, but do not have in my social work environment or extracurricular circles any non-binaries. I do have a few homosexual friends, both male and female. I suspect that their daily lives and some of their monumental experiences differ from my own and from those of the binary community in general. I would guess that many non-binaries encounter appreciable stigma, prejudgment, and even criticism and ridicule, unfortunately. Not in the least, as long as they are respectful of and accepting of my different identity as well. Is Pony Kalina. I identify as a white transgender female. I knew that I was assigned the wrong gender at birth when I was a freshman in high school. I'd always felt out of place hanging out with guys. I didn't feel comfortable in my body. People called me gay and other homophobic slurs. At first, I brushed off these insults, but eventually they got to me, and I realized that perhaps those bullies at school had a point. I didn't feel like a male and certainly didn't act like a male because I wasn't a male. When I accepted this was when I started to identify as a female. Identity is a choice. Everybody is assigned a gender at birth. However, it is our decision whether we are gender conforming or gender non-conforming. When I told my family, they were initially shocked. They didn't hug me or embrace me. They rejected me. I had a conversation with my mom afterwards and explained myself. I told her that I could not express myself as a male, and that in order to truly be comfortable and feel human, my choice to become female was liberating and the right way to go. Even though I am female and express myself as a female, people in society judge me as a transgender. Because I am trans, I get a different treatment in society. I choose to become a counselor because I felt accepted, I felt safe in my place as a camp counselor. At Camp 10 Trees, people see me as Pony Kalina, the white female camp counselor, and not as Pony, the transgender.
Hi, my name is Aaron Cam Daly, and I identify as a transgender male, meaning I was born as a female, but from a young age I identified as a male, so now I'm in fact a male. I first realized that the gender assigned to me was not correct when I was in middle school, specifically 8th grade. I was always a quote-unquote tomboy and didn't get along with many of the girls in my grade or my social circle. But because I was not actually a boy, most boys refused to talk to me, and I felt like an outcast throughout middle school, and that put me in a very dark place. However, once I realized that I was truly a boy and that I identified as a male, my life turned around. I was able to find my niche in society. I believe that my gender was by no means a choice, because from a young age, I hadn't felt right in my female body. I felt out of place and enjoyed most things that were quote-unquote boy things. For example, I enjoyed playing with toy cars and video games, and these are just parts of my personality, not choices I made, meaning that my gender was not a choice that I made, it was a part of my personality and a part of my being. I also think that people who have the nerve to believe that my gender is a choice are rude and inconsiderate and uneducated. Yes, I have told my family, and their reactions were one of doubt and surprise. They doubted my decision, questioning whether I was sure that I was actually transgender. They questioned my reasoning, and it seemed as if they almost wanted me to be wrong and wanted me to be normal. I felt hurt and left out. I felt as if I felt like they hated me and like they couldn't accept me for who I was. Honestly, it put me in a very dark place in my life, and I wasn't able to climb out of that place until I found Camp 10 Trees. Camp 10 Trees was a place where I really felt accepted. When I found this camp, I felt like there were people who understood me, and that people who were just like me and people I could connect with. Yes, I have told my friends about this, and they accept and support my decision. And of course there's social stigma about my gender and about me being a transgender individual. I can't tell you how many times I've been walking in public and they ask me if I'm in the right bathroom, or if people look at me weirdly. And at first I disliked these stares, but I've since gotten used to it and have realized that it is just part of society and people's ignorance. Yes, there are people out there And I think, yes, there are people out there that disagree with being transgender. And I think that they should read up about being transgender. And I personally would like to meet with these people because I feel like if they met with me and if they were able to hear my story, they wouldn't feel the same way about transgender people.